Everyone, it's Patty from PS Paper Crafts. Thanks for joining me today. I'm going to show you how to make this really pretty card. It says I move beyond words, and on the inside, your kindness is so appreciated. I think this would be a great sympathy card or birthday card, so you can change up the sentiment to make it any card you want. I'm using the Gray Granite and then Rococo Rose and Old Olive. And the stamps that I'm using is Flowering Blooms, and it has some really beautiful stamps. And this is one of the distinctive stamp sets. So it has shading and everything right in the stamp. So they call it photorealistic. They're really beautiful. I made this other card using this stamp, and isn't that pretty? I just love it. They just really stamp so well. And this also has dies that coordinate with it. So we're going to use this die to cut this flower out. So let's get started. I have my pieces cut, and the first thing I'm going to do is actually get a scrap piece and stamp the flower. So it's a kind of a big piece, but that's okay. And what I'm doing, because I want to have two different colors, I'm not going to use my stamp pad. I'm going to color them with Stampin' Up markers. Now these are the water-based markers. You do not want to use your blends to color your stamps. The Stampin' blends, you want to use the Stampin' Right markers. So the first one I'm going to use is the Rococo Rose, and I'll just color right on the stamp, and this works really well with the red rubber. You can use it on the photo polymer, but the red rubber really, I don't know, seemed to come out really well. So I'm just going to color the entire stamp. And some places it's a little bit hard to see where the leaf is and where the flower is. So you can actually refer to the picture if you wanted to while you're coloring it. So I'll just color the whole thing. And yep, this is the flower, I believe. Actually, maybe that was the leaf. I think that was a leaf, so I may just clean that off and go back and redo that part with the green. And I'm going to just clean it off with my finger. Don't tell anybody. And I'll go over that with the green. So you really have to kind of look at it and make sure that you've got it all going. So here's a leaf right here. So I'm going to go right up to the edge of it. And after you do it the first time, you'll get a better idea. So maybe you want to practice on some scrap paper. So I think I have the flower. And don't worry if it dries. We're going to breathe on it to moisten it up before we go down on the paper. So then I'm using Old Olive, and you can use any colors that you want. These are the colors I chose. If you had a different color, if you wanted to make it red and a different green, whatever you have. I think this would be a nice red rose. But I love Rococo Rose. That's one of my favorite in colors. They were last year's in colors, and it just really is pretty. And when you do this, you should do the lighter color first and then do the darker color. You don't want to get the pick up any of the ink. Like if you were doing a yellow and a dark green and you did the dark green first, you wouldn't want to get any of that on the yellow marker. Hope that makes sense. So I'm just going to get all the leaves all around. And I think I have something over here that I don't like. I think right in there. I'm going to just go over that with the pink, or the Rococo Rose, I should say. So I just wanted to make sure I got all of the pink done. So once you're done with this, you're going to just breathe on it, and that will give you, it'll moisten up the ink, and then, let me just put the top on this. And then you'll have a nice image that you can stamp. So let me just breathe on it. And stamp down. Isn't that beautiful? So I'm going to now cut this out, and I'll step away to do that. I'll cut it out on my Big Shot. So these are the dies that go with this, and I'll just take this one and place it around, and I'll be right back. So I've cut this out, and you'll notice that the die really hugs right around it. It makes it so nice to cut. There's white around the outside, but when you put the die down, it really just goes right up to the ink. It makes it easy to line it up. So that's a nice thing. So now we have that done, and we want to get our layers together, and I'll start putting those down. And I'm going to use this ribbon. This is gorgeous, gorgeous ribbon. It's a shimmer ribbon, and it's in Gray Granite. And that's why I picked this color, because I wanted to use this ribbon. So sometimes that's what happens. So let me put these together. I don't want to put it down on the card base because I want to be able to put the ribbon down. So, and actually before I do that, let me just place this and kind of get the placement so I can put my sentiment down. So I wanted it to be right up here, and I'm going to use the same sentiment because I like it. And let's just get the Gray Granite out. And I'll do it right about here. Okay, and while we're doing this, let's do our inside. Might as well get our stamping done all together. And I'd like to use my grid paper to line it up. Okay, and then I did some of the leaves in the old olive ink. Now if you didn't have the old olive ink pad, you could color with your marker just like we did with the flower, but I have one, so I'll just use the ink pad. So I'm going to go up. I like to always stamp and then stamp again to get different shades of the same color. I like that look. So that's done. Our stamping is all done. Let's put that aside and put that aside. And now we can put our pieces together. So let's get this one done. Oh, I got some ink on the back of that. I'm afraid to touch that. Okay, I thought it was, there's a little piece of fuzz there. So let me get my adhesive, and I'm using the new Stampin' Seal. Stampin' Seal. I always have to seem to start it, and then it works out okay. I just run my finger across the top and pull it down. And let's put this on. We'll center it. It's a very easy card, and I think the ribbon and the flower are just gorgeous, so I think that's what makes the card. And we'll do this one. See? I don't know if that happens to you, but I'm getting the hang of this. As I said, I always use the liquid glue, so I'm trying to get the hang of this new adhesive. I do like it. It does go on smoothly, but it seems like I have to always get it started first. Okay, so now we want to kind of get a feel for where we want to position the ribbon, and I'm just going to cut a piece of the ribbon a little bit longer than this layer so that I can wrap it around. And I want to have the bow kind of in here on the card, and I want it to line up with the ribbon. So we'll just see how it looks. And you kind of have to play with these things. I think that looks good. So I'm just going to use Scotch tape and put my ribbon down. You can use the Stampin' Seal or whatever adhesive you want. You want to make sure it's strong though. You don't want to use anything that the ribbon's going to pop off over time. So So we'll do this. And then we're going to pop this up with dimensionals. And I am using both the small and the regular size, the mini dimensionals and the regular size, because I want to get some of these smaller pieces covered. You can also cut into these to get the smaller pieces. So I'm just going to put one more in here, and then I'll use the minis. We'll put one up here and on each leaf. I didn't put one on the stem, but you know what? I think I might just cut one and put it on the stem. So I think I'll just cut a larger dimensional. And I'll just cut a little piece of it and see if I can fit that on the stem. Actually, I'll just put it right there. I think that's good. So then I just want to take the backs off. Right. I think I always do that off screen, so I have a pile over there. So now I just want to lay this down, and then I'll tie another piece of ribbon into a bow, and hopefully this will work. It's just really beautiful. It's glimmery and the color is gorgeous. I'll just fuss it with a little bit. I want to make it smaller. So I just kind of fuss back and forth with it until I get what I want. And then I'll just snip off this at an angle. And I never get them even. Good enough. I want that to go right there. And I'll use a mini glue dot to put that on. And I'll just put it right back here. And it's a pretty thick width, so usually I roll it in a ball when I'm using, you know, the baker's twine or something like that, but this is a good size. So I can just put on the glue dot directly. So let's get this on the card. And it's a little bit bumpy, so I think I don't usually put the adhesive on here, but I think I will. And I just won't go to the edges so that I don't have anything showing. Isn't that pretty? I love this gray granite. I haven't used it very often. And the ribbon is just what really spoke to me. And then we'll put this on, and the card will be just about done. Now you could put pearls or some kind of granite gems or something like that, but I wanted to pick up the Rococo rose color, and we have these pretty butterflies. There's something there. Do you find these everywhere? Sometimes I go to bed at night and I have them on my clothes, the backings to the dimensionals. But anyway, back to the butterflies. So they're the butterfly gems, and they're the in colors from last year. So it's the Rococo Rose and Seaside Spray and Purple Posy, Terracotta Tile, and the Pretty Peacock, which I absolutely love. So let me see, I don't have my pokey tool, I always call it a pokey tool, my picket tool. So I'm just going to use the scissors, and I'm going to pick up the larger of the two butterflies and just put that right here. And there you go. So the card is done. I think they're really beautiful. And again, I think this would be a perfect sympathy card. Thanks for joining me, and give this a try, coloring right on the stamp and then breathing on it and getting it moistened up again, and then you can just stamp it down, and this way you can have multiple colors on the same stamp. But thanks for joining. Have a good day. Bye.